Hello and welcome to Feature Flights. I'm your host, Darren Vorel, and I love art. I'm enamored by the wonder and joy it brings. Art can evolve, inspire, and change lives as it moves through time. On this episode of Featured Flights, we're speaking with an individual who has purchased art, but the twist is he's purchased art from me. I want to know what has happened since I said goodbye to it. This series isn't about my ego, I promise, but I'm genuinely interested in what moves someone to own art. Through these interviews, I'll be exploring the life of my guest and how the art has enriched it. Today, we're speaking with Jim Gwynn. Jim is a musician and a father, and you guessed it, an owner of my art. Jim, nice to have you on the show, and thank you for speaking with me today.
Yeah, of course. It's a pleasure talking with you always, and thanks for having me on.
Oh man, yeah, totally. This is great. You're my first guest in this series, so
Whoa.
yeah, totally. And I know there's a few pieces that you own, but we're going to. Sorry, I'm just turning up my volume here. I know there's a few pieces that you own, so I just want you to feel free to talk about it however you like. But I'm going to ask you a couple questions, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So, like I said, it's not about my ego. It just happens to be my art. I'm interested in art in general and your interest with it. But where did you first see the work of art that you purchased from me? I know there's a few, so you can speak however you want about one piece or many.
So I think that it's pursuing art or music or anything like that you have to like the person that you're working with or want to support the person that you're with. And since I've met you, I think it was Talia Hall forever ago. We met. I fell in love with your music between the Suizos, the Scissors, TLB, all that business. And when you meet somebody, you want them to do well. You want them to feel your appreciation for them, and your art just so happens to correlate with all the happy distractions that I surround myself with at home. So the most important piece for me that you created, and it was the Descanso Gardens one that ended up being the cover of my probably my final record on behalf of my band Jip. I did that record for my son. The beauty of and colors of the art that you created for your piece, which I found on your website. And again, we've known each other for a long time, but I've followed you, and there's no other way to help an artist or a musician or anybody who's on this side of the fence to keep their fire bright than to throw some wood on it to make it burn. And that piece spoke to me while we were creating the record, the colorscape, the water, the bright building in the back of it, and I ended up merging two pieces together for that to be created for the cover of our record. But that's what got me to that piece. But it doesn't start without knowing you and you being a genuine artist, musician, a friend, and my want to support you as you are continuing on your journey. Because this world of creation is lonely at times, and you need people to hold you up. And again, I don't know, I've never said this before, but the wood on the fire thing, it makes a lot of sense. I want you to burn as bright as you can for opportunities to come up in your world. And heck, I mean, again, that distractions piece. I think the world and life is hard enough not to have those pieces, those distractions around you that keep you moving. For us, it happens to be Disney and music and that type of stuff. But your viewpoint and God, skill, like the stuff you've made that I have, is great. It's in my house. It's framed. I wish I was in my house right now, but you're in the hallowed grounds of College of DuPage.
Well, hey, that's my old stomping ground. That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. You and I are from that neck of the woods. So I'm sorry to be so long winded, but
No.
that's how I feel about creation and being an artist and again musician, whichever mode you end up going down, whoever's watching this or whatever. I want you to know, because I'm here with you now. I will support you until you stop.
Well,
I'm a fan.
Well, this is the same way that I feel, and it's funny hearing your answers. It feels like I'm almost talking to myself because, as creative people, and also thank you for saying all of that. That's what's really beautiful, and on sharing this with people is what is at the crux of me doing this because yeah, again, we're talking about my art here, but it's a bigger picture. It's about art in general. It's about the art that you make, and the adventure that sometimes art can take that I wouldn't have known about, right? So we're talking about something that I created, but it became something you envisioned for something that you've done, and that is so beautiful because this is like it's just an ongoing um, life that you just can't predict when you make something, and so it's so beautiful what you said. And I think you probably hit on a few other things that I'm going to ask you. So if we did, we'll skip those questions. But going down, like what was the feeling that you first got, from seeing that maybe it was just in the art in general that I was doing art and that you saw it. What were some of the feelings that you got?
So again, first and foremost, I know you as a musician, a kick-ass musician, and then moving on to the other side of things. I was part of your mailing list, and we follow each other. So I saw your art first and foremost from that standpoint. There, my car has a sticker on it. It's a Angels on Airwaves thing. It says "Spread hope like fire," and I feel like, and I work for higher education. My job is to be in front of strangers, change their lives or empower them best I can as they continue on. I've taken that journey for the last 15 years of my career while also being a musician, and being following you and then moving on to your side, the artwork pieces. You follow that. I don't know, whimsy. I don't know if I've ever used that word either before.
This is great. Discovery. I love it.
Yeah. So you and I are of a similar age group, and I think we have similar just things that we follow. Heck, I see the Green Day piece in the background. I saw that at Riot Fest. It was kick-ass to see that out there. But going over to your artwork side, I saw bright colors. I saw happy things of my past, whether it be Mario or E.T. or any of those things, and you putting your spin on it. And it doesn't hit as hard unless the skill point is there. I can feel and sense all of your hard work and time, and I've seen your time lapse videos with your painting. I can't do that. It's something I'm inept of doing. I went to the dentist the other day, and he's like, "How many songs have you written in your life?" And I'm like, thousands. And he's like, "I don't understand that." And for somebody like you, I don't understand that side of your brain. I don't understand your creativity, being inspired by something. Again, I'm staring at your Green Day piece, so I'm going to point that out. But to love them as much as you and I feel both do.
Oh yeah.
And then to be able to create something skill and also have skill as part of that. My brain doesn't operate that way. So I appreciate that when I see it. It's like somebody who writes poetry. You could say that lyrics are poetry in a lot of ways, but I don't feel I operate that way. So I look at that and I'm in awe of it. I look at artwork and I'm in awe of it. In my house, I've only really purchased things for the band. And that has expanded because I follow you and Coiler Smith, who makes trading cards of like sports figures from the past. And then Butcher Billy has done stuff for me too. He's working for like Netflix now. It's killer to see, again, putting that wood onto his fire, and he's completely exploded. But that's the attraction was initially the distraction piece. You fall into things that I love, and I want to keep around me. I have a terrible memory, and if I have a house full of like the bright things and toys and like action figures and stuff, because I want to keep happiness around me, and your work has done that for me. And I want a piece at some point in time. We'll get there. I work for you. I work for higher education. I need to figure out budget for that at some point in time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I would love a piece of yours of my family. I know I've sent it to you before. We just never came over that hurdle. But again, it was bright colors, happiness, distractions, and that type of stuff that led me to your art.
Awesome. Yeah, no, and yeah, a lot of things you're saying in there too. It's like sometimes it's hard for an artist to create something that isn't a little, um, on the surface, it might look bright colors, but underneath, like there's a lot of turmoil in the person's life that created it. Or how do you make something positive out of something in your life that's negative? Like that's the other thing about art, especially in the times we're living in right now. I've heard a lot of like my friend Matt Allison, who's recorded a lot of the bands that I've been in. We were talking the other day, and he's like, "Man, I'm so glad we have art and that we can be creative in times like this because of it's like just the coping mechanism. I always tell people that when you're creating, and as a musician you probably know this, you don't really have time for your brain to go anywhere else. It's like the closest to God, if you believe in God or peace or the universe or whatever our creator is, to you. It's like the closest I feel like you can get, because it's such a peaceful thing. And sometimes that you need that when you're going through hardships in your life or different things like that. And so I love what you're saying, to kind of have that around. Kind of leads into another question that I have. It takes on many lives once it's out of my control. So did you have a plan for it once it arrived, or where does it live in your home? I mean, I know we have a couple pieces we're talking about, but yeah, like what once you had it, other than being part of your story and your music, what was the plan for the art?
So the gardens piece is above my printer at home. I see it all the time. I do a lot of like eBay stuff, so that's my part-time job as it is. So again, I place things around me that give me good feelings. My office again is bright yellow, Simpsons Homer yellow, with stuff all around. And that piece specifically is in front of my printer. The Portillo's print that I have, I've been making this joke since I've gotten chubby, and I always say like 70 pounds of me is Portillo's.
Yeah,
And I look at that, I don't even eat a loaded hot dog, but that piece, as I'm walking into my garage, it makes me happy when I see it. So the purpose of the gardens piece is the one that stuck with me the most. I don't have any tattoos. At some point in time, that might be my only tattoo.
wow.
My final, and again, what I see as my final efforts, my final record. I did it for my kid. I'm happy you brought up the father piece at the beginning of this, but when I saw that piece on your site, it moved me to utilize it, and I saw it as being a potential to being a cover of a record. That's what I envisioned. So it lives as is, unedited, unchanged. But in my world, it's on thousands of CDs that'll probably reach people or probably never touch anybody again. But it has your artwork, and then me as a child, which is what I was trying to get across with the record. Another artist had created this person, my logo or whatever it is, that refers back to me kind of jumping over that waterscape that you had created. So again, I'm not a big art guy. I'm a music guy. I've spent my adult life following music. Music is to me the most valuable thing that I have in forms of me creating and being therapeutic or closer to God, like you had said, but also just keeping me in the happy spot. I'm wearing a Ben Queller hat today. I love Ben Queller. People give up on things as you continue on. It's very strange to see things as an American. I've always heard that you remember the music most from when you started getting laid. And
those formative years, right?
Right. And I feel like I don't want to ever get out of that. I keep a childlike viewpoint on life. And again, try keeping the distractions as happy as I can around me, because I have a 7-year-old. I tell him every day, I'm like, being an adult is hard. When we get in those hard moments, and those distractions are what keep us in a good mindset of full viewpoint of life, knowing that it's going to suck, knowing sometimes you're going to go through, what you had with was it your back? Or I can't remember. Yeah. We all go through shit every day. It sucks every day. But what I appreciate about you musically and also artistically from the other side, is the brightness, is those things. So your piece stays with me in my home, and I appreciate you creating and letting me use that, allowing me to use that
Oh yeah.
for that record. But you also have to be welcoming. As the artist, you have to be welcoming. You created a baby. Like that's your baby, and it might have been you in a moment feeling something completely different while you're at those gardens in Los Angeles, I believe. I've never
Yes,
actually
of
been
course.
physically
Oh man,
physically there, but
yeah, it's a beautiful, again, moving here just opened up so many things. I've only seen the concrete buildings in downtown Chicago. There's the beauty all its own for Chicago. I'm not knocking it, but once you come out here, there's a little bit more land and places. And Descanso Gardens is one of those, especially around Christmas time. They light it up really beautiful, and that's where that was inspired from. Um, wow, you're saying so much. It's kind of cool because it's like again, it's like a reflection, and then you're talking about things that are going through as artists, and then also it's interesting to hear you talk about, the way that you're creating once you have a child of your own and not losing that part of yourself, and that's the trick. I read in Rick Rubin's book. I'm not sure if you read that, but he has a part about that, like trying not to lose the wonder that you have as a child, which is why I love seeing all the pictures of you guys at the movies. That seems to be most of your feed these days. It's like you guys going and seeing really fun movies and stuff. And I love that because it reminds me of how I want to be as a father, is that, that there's so much magic in all of that. I've recently because it's very expensive, but I've recently been to Disney a few times. And man, I would kind of knock that, and I never really was there to experience it myself. And I think the reason I knocked it is I was just jaded. I think as an adult, I started to lose that a little bit, that joy, that wonder, that excitement that you have as a kid, because like you said, as an adult, it starts to erode a little bit. And that is such a shame, so I loved hearing you talk about that. That's such a valid point for people listening. Life can be hard, and you'd have to find a way to continue to hold on to that. Not even hold on, but just like let yourself enjoy the beauty that is in this world. And a lot of that is how it was when you were a kid, and there was no obstacles in your way. It was free and it was open.
yeah, of course. I'm not a religious person. That's something that has never really found me. I've left my life open to find that peace down the road. So I feel like I knew more when I was 17, but even to this day, all I know is what we have right now.
Yeah.
This moment right now. This moment right now with you. As I was dropping off my kid to school today, I told him that we were meeting. And he's like, the let's get away on a holiday guy? I'm like, yeah, that guy.
Oh, amazing. Oh, yeah. I mean, I can tell he's going to have a lot of good things growing up because you've introduced him to a lot of art and music. I mean, how great is that? As a father, you must be very proud of that.
I lost my mom early. She was 52 when we lost her. And I'm 43 as of today. And I always look at it as like, okay, well, if I only have 8 or 9 years left, hopefully I last a lot longer. Hopefully life goes a lot longer. And again, me not being religious, all we know is today. We had a kid. My wife, we've been together for 20 years, and she said at 35 we'll have a kid, and he magically came. And I don't know how girls work as far as that standpoint. It's amazing. I'm Italian. I should have had a ton of kids, but I was grateful for him, and that again for me as an artist. I was done with my second to last record. And when we made I Thought This Was Over, it literally meant that. It was I'm going to show him that you can create and find your own voice. And I'm so happy that he's had all these musical experiences. And like,
he's been to our shows, it's like insane.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. He's seen you
yeah, exactly.
in concert. But we went to London last year for the first time, and just going through those art museums, like to me, it doesn't hit my soul the way your artwork does, the way Coiler Smith stuff does, and Butcher Billy, like that stuff talks to me a lot different. But again, all we know is the moments that we have now, and why not surround yourself with happiness? There's something in the Suizos, and I'm gonna misquote it. Please correct me on it.
I probably won't even remember what the lyric is, so that's okay.
It was something. It was like angsty, but it was talking about like, why should I give my life to working a shit job just so I could have more stuff? It was
Oh
some.
yeah. Well, stuck in a rut just so I could buy more stuff.
Thank you.
I
There it
did
is.
not write that. Chris did write that, but it is brilliant. You're right. That is like the charge, really, as an artist, but it's like, okay, once you decide that that is the life you're going to live, you don't know like the obstacles in your way, because like everything then comes at you. You don't have a normal paycheck. You don't have health insurance. You don't have, these are all things as an artist that you have to have a very clear path and understanding that these will pass, these hardships will pass, but they are going to get in your way as you try to move down. And there's a million obstacles that can come in your way. So I love what you're saying there. That is a great line. But we get tricked somehow that we need to be stuck in that rut because of all of these things that life has to offer that make it easier. There's no doubt about it. Having a regular job offers you these things that make it a little easier to move through life.
Yeah, well, also that Fight Club saying, the things you own end up owning you at some point.
Yeah.
That stuff hits hard, but you're in a business of creating, again, your babies and then offering up to the world. I look at me purchasing something from you or another artist as, again, me supporting that person. But I think that owning things that keep you in a happy mindset as best you can, spreading hope like fire, all that stuff. You're part of that.
Then that pays back in dividends then, doesn't it?
Of course.
Right. I think that's kind of the point. Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, same. I apologize. Sorry.
No. We're having a great conversation. So I just can't help but, relate to you. Whenever I do purchase art from an artist or whatever, I might not have more than $10 in my pocket, but that spoke to me, and I know that that's an investment in my life. Also, going to movies is an investment in my life, where I can take that 2 hours or whatever it is to take in something and see the world through somebody else's eyes. That's going to make me empathize with the human race somehow, make me understand something in a way that I haven't understood before. I am completely locked into that art, and it is going to inspire something that I make after that. So I relate to you. I'm going to move on to the next question. I'm loving the way that this is going. So this is, again, the first interview that I've done with this, and like I just want to talk to people. I want to connect with people. That is a hard part about being an artist sometimes, because I'm stuck in the studio all day painting and stuff like that. So how do I do that? Like, and it's been a charge for the last 2 years. Well, I got to get out and do my own art show, so I can talk to people there, so they can see the stuff on the wall and not just on the screen. And then also talk to people that have had experiences with the art, and this is great. This is everything and more for me. So, okay, we talked about this. Has the art ever been seen by anyone? So we're talking about it's been on the cover of your stuff, but in your home and stuff like that, has people been around it? And if so, do you remember any of their experiences? Has that surprised you at all, the way that they've interacted with it?
Yeah, I've gotten questions about it. Again, it's in a prominent place. It's above our printer, and then also the Portillo's piece. It means so much here in the Midwest, as you know. And again, I'm Italian, so when you're eating something or when you're feeding somebody, it means a lot. It means you're nourishing that person. It means you care about them. You want them to feel good or full and happy and those type of things. So I've gotten asked a ton about the Portillo's piece, especially because I don't eat the hot dogs in that fashion. Get your pickles off hot dogs. What the hell are you doing?
Oh man, I'm okay. Like, we're not playing this in Chicago. Everybody, don't listen to what Jim's saying right now. If you say something about ketchup, we're gonna have to end this call. I'm just saying.
I mean, I'd rather eat a plane. But those pieces are around, and again, I've done my best to surround myself with things that give me joy and make me happy. So I have a small part of my house that is kind of like, it would be like a well orchestrated or manifested Hard Rock Cafe when they were cool, when you could go there and be like, oh my God, there's Veruca Salt's guitar or whatever. Like, you could like
Ramon's jacket, yeah.
Oh, it's the best. So I've done my best to kind of circle myself around with that. There's a TLB record in that room as well. Yeah. Like, it's the signed one. Both of those. But yeah, the Portillo's one's gotten the most questions asked at my house. But outside of that, I mean, like you've again been willing to allow me to utilize your baby to play along with my baby, and the CD has had the most questions asked about it because it's really neat. Like it's. For me, again, it was about the logo or whatever of me as a childlike figure, kind of moving on from learning how to use my mind to my hands onto the next thing. So that's been the request to understand what the hell this is. Like, you see, the CD covers are art. Like, I just saw you did that thing for Cypress Hill. I understood it immediately, or at least I felt I did what you had accomplished. So, to have a piece, and again, I'm going back to that gardens piece because it's been so important to me. To have that, for it to look pretty, and then for somebody to see it and go, "What the hell's going on here?" And you could have different viewpoints of it. Is the kid jumping away from a bad place? Are they jumping to a good place? Yeah, I know that wasn't your initial intent, but
no, but this is what I'm asking. This is what I want to hear. Like, what does it mean to you? You know, like once it's out of my home, that's the hard part I've had to deal with as being an artist, because, you know, everything you create, you feel like is very personal to you. And as an artist starting out, it's not like music. Like music, you know, well, some musicians are different, but for me, I always was like, okay, I want to push this out. I want people to hear it, you know. Excuse me. And with art, it was always really difficult for me to let it go. And then over time, I've realized what we're talking about here is that it has a life of its own once it's gone. And especially for me, when I go to the Art Institute and I see something Monet's done, and I see like a blade of grass moving, and I think, wow, that blade of grass was moving at a time when I wasn't alive. And this is what the world looked like, you know, back then. That's magic. That's magic. That's why well, I'll get to it in a minute, but yeah, that's why artists live forever. That's why art is so important to the human race, you know, so you can experience what it was like to live here when you weren't part of it.
Yeah, of course. And going back to the dad thing, my kid means the world to me, as I'm sure you already know. Like you've met him, you hugged him. I appreciated that moment. You're an all-star. You're the rock star in our house. You know, like I make music and you're the guy. But when it hopefully you do, when you do have a kid, you see things through new eyes. And my kid's seen a lot of music, and social media is what it is. You know, like I do that as a bookmark, as a memorabilia trace for me to look back on my life as I've lived it. But he's been listening to music where I love Chris Cornell, and Chris Cornell has been one of the only concerts I've gone to, and I've cried like a grown man being in a place, and I've wept. And I played Nearly Forgot My Broken Heart for the kid, and he's like, what the hell's going on with this? And he's like, is he dead? He asks that question all the time. Is he gone? Is he dead? Or is she dead? And sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no. But the beauty of music, art, all that stuff is that it does linger on. You hope with the people that you've connected with. So for you to be as welcoming as you are with you've been you know, whether we've spent a ton of time together or whatever, you've been a friend to me in our fashion. I feel that from you, and I feel that when I've gotten pieces from you, art pieces from you, and you've left a note. That stuff means the world. It might seem like it's small. It might seem like a small little thing that you put on there, or whatever, but it means a lot. There's a musician I work with, Buick Audra, who's based in Nashville. She's fantastic, and we've communicated a few times. We spent 8 hours in her home studio and created a song, Once Upon a Time. And I've again put the wood on the fire for her, and she's still killing it. She's still kicking ass. But every time she has a record come out or whatever, I'll have it bought and come to my home, and she'll put a note on there and like stuff like that. That's I don't know if it's the right thing to say, like your mom's side of you. I don't know your family, but like,
yeah, it is for sure. My mom, yeah.
So my in my life, my dad is a mechanic. He's always been a guy, nuts bolts, everything makes sense. But my mom was just like, crazy Italian lady,
Yeah.
and I had her with me. So I feel that from you as the artist. So I'm not only getting to give you a handshake and be like, "Hey, man, this is awesome. I wanted it. I wanted it to be in my home." But I've always felt your appreciation for the people that you've been around, whether it's been at shows in person or the art side, in doing that. It's really appreciated as playing along. We're playing along with each other. We're dancing. We're friends. We're dancing in this stupid world that we have, and trying to keep ourselves happy. That's what we do.
Well, man, I feel like, man, this is like just really beautiful to hear all of these things, because I would never get to hear this, if I didn't ask the question, right? And again, I don't want to do this podcast for my ego. I want to really just hear about people and how they move through life. So to hear you say some of these things about some of the things that I do, those are very conscious efforts to make something special for somebody, to show my appreciation. I'm doing this podcast and it's going to be on a Patreon. Well, people pay for Patreons, and it's my charge and my responsibility as a person that creates something to make sure people know that I appreciate what they're giving back to me as an artist. This world is so crazy, fleeting, with people that just expect everything, or think, like, I'm going to create something and then just there's no connection. And that's why I don't want us to just be an Instagram thing or whatever. I want us to be a community of like-minded people like yourself, that we're talking about this. And, there is a connection between the art and the music and everything that we've done for years and years and years. The people that we meet and that we talk to. And as you talked about, the idea of doing it and having a note that comes back to you or something. Well, yeah, I lost my father when I was 15 years old, and I was raised by my mother. That's a pretty interesting year to lose your father at. You're becoming
Sure.
an adult and you're going through high school. There's so much to talk about there. But I will say that, the way that I act towards people is a general result of that. You feel, and it caused a lot of anxiety for me for a long time, that you're not going to get a chance to say I love you to somebody again, or say thank you to somebody again. And so I try to be very present with people and try to give them my attention. Not that I'm somebody important that they need to have that from, but just because you're a human being and you matter, and you are here just like I am, moving through life. I don't know what happened to you today. I don't know what happened to you yesterday, but like you said earlier, it's what we're going through right now, in the moment when we're talking with each other, that we can experience life and maybe, walk away with a smile on our face. So I really understand and relate to what you're talking about.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, of course. Well, hey, thanks for opening it up so I could talk about that. It's been a while since I've said that. Okay, so I think we've talked about everything. You're such a good interview that, like, I didn't even have to ask these questions. It just came out through our conversation. But I would say that this is the last one, and I'm interested to, via all of the things that we've talked about already, what your answer might be. Because, like I said, there's an old saying that artists live forever, right? And because the art doesn't die unless it's lost or nobody remembers it. Some of the films of the silent age aren't there anymore because they just didn't last. I think, museums here do a good job of curating things. So a lot of times that art does last, and many, many years go by where people can experience. But we don't last forever, as we're talking about. What would you like the life of this piece to be after you're gone? Or, as we're talking about this, what would you like the life of the things that you've created to be after you're gone? Why do it?
That's deep. It's an extremely deep question, because as a musician, music for me, on my side of the fence, in yours, was always therapy. I didn't play golf. I always used to say that, like, music is an expensive golf game that also strokes your ego and gets you moving. I don't know if I'm in the job I am. I don't know if I'm the dad I am or the husband I am without art, without the art that I had created. So did I make thousands of CDs that nobody will ever own? They'll never have. Will they end up in a fire someday? On behalf of Jip and like my endeavors, probably, and that's okay. Like that's okay because that created the person that I have shared with you and with everybody else that I encounter as I go along. I've done my best not to be an asshole my entire life, and even while saying that, I know that people have encountered me and gone, he's whatever. He's chaotic, way too into Disney, like way too into having shit around. But when it comes to like the piece that you have for me, that will linger with me for the rest of my life. It'll linger with my son for the rest of his life. And whenever he creates whatever he has, he's already got a band name. He's already
right.
he's already making music. So he sees, I thought this was over. He sees that. And whether he knows that's Darren or not, you're part of that. And that has spilled into what's going to end up being his musical endeavors. And I asked him the other day, I was like, all right, when you make your first record, what's going to be on the cover? And he told me he has an answer. It's like already like preset. So your piece with playing Dancing with Me has inspired him as he continues on. So I think that we all have this self-importance thing. Like, I'm alive, you're alive, we're here together. I appreciate even just having this time to talk. So I know we have different pathways that we're going, and the world moves in all separate ways. And I'll see you at when we were young, or whatever the hell we end up doing down the road.
Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, we're in each other's lives. Even my best friend Tom, I'm in a band with him. I rarely see him. He's a busy guy, And you're right. That's just kind of how the paths go. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yes, I'm relating to what you're saying.
But even somebody like Tom scored. Like he like found the golden egg in his lifetime. Do I know him? Sure. Like he's been as sweet as you have been in the times that I've met him and participated. But art in a lot of ways has ego involved with it. And again, that therapy piece for me is first and foremost, and it sounds like it's a little bit there with you as well. Again, dancing in the things that make you happy, be it E.T., Green Day, whatever the hell, whatever you're working on. But did you hear the thing with Mike Tyson when the kid asked him about his legacy?
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck is a legacy? Who cares about it? Like, so good. It was so fucking amazing. So it's very David Lynch as well right now. If you've been following a lot since he passed away, it's like, look, you don't have to have that like attitude. It could be like you do want to know what happens. There's a lot of different answers here, but I think what you're saying and like what we're kind of relating to at this point is that what does it matter if what we're creating makes us happy and makes the world a better place and makes other people happy?
As long as that's now. I think that the focus should always be on today.
Right.
Your work, Local H, every musician that I keep on buying stuff from, and they keep empowering my life and making me feel better. Surround yourself with stuff that makes you feel good today. I think that the reason I brought up the Mike Tyson thing is because the ego part, in legacy and what's left behind, don't we all burn at some point in time? I mean, we're going to California in a couple weeks. I'm terrified to be there to even see what has fallen, because I listened to some podcast, and I think I can't even remember who the actor was, but he's like, I had so many timeless art pieces that died in my home, books that were forever, they were around for forever. So do things last on forever? Absolutely not. We all burn, in my opinion. In my opinion of life, that's again why the religion thing has never really felt right to me. But you and I are here. I'm here right now with you. I've met 25 students that are going to be they're in limbo right now, and they don't know where they're going with their lives. And I can kind of give them a pathway to choose as they continue on. We have today. So surround yourself with the music you love, the art you love. And anything else. I mean, for the people that like makeup or whatever the hell, empower yourself in that way. Enrich every day as if it is your last, because sometimes your dad passes too young. Sometimes my mom passes too young. And we have to figure that out as we continue on. But if you have those stable bases around you and you surround yourselves with people you love and the things you love, I think that's all that matters. That's what this is. So will Jip live on? I don't think so. Like
well, they don't know the life it could have. Quentin Tarantino could come around tomorrow and say, my very last film needs to be a soundtrack from Jip. You never know. Do not say that, because you never know. That's one thing that I've been at this entire year has surprised me. Like, I wouldn't be able to even explain in words. And I have to tell you that it's because I just said, I don't fucking care. I don't know. I have to put my hands up. So you never know.
That's for sure. But what I do know is that my second to last record, I wrote a song called Unknowns. The end of my mom's life was pretty hard for me. It was tough because she was this strong-willed Italian lady who was fighting back, didn't understand death. It was hard for us to have a point of connection. And also, I was moving on. I was with another. I was, like an Italian mother thinks they have their son forever, and I was moving on. I had my lady. I was growing my life. So I wrote this song called Unknowns. And my kid asked me like 2 weeks ago. He's like, "What will your closer be?" Because he's seen so many concerts, he understands that there's like an ending to the show. Like there's the big pop. There's the big pop at the end. I was like, I would probably play that. That would probably be the last song I would play because it means something to me. And I started crying while we were listening to it. I hadn't listened to it in like 2 years.
Beautiful.
So again, art is in my opinion, it's for today. It's for your kid or anybody that you touch or contact with. Like most people I know in the professional side of my life have no idea I make music. And if they do find it, they're like, what the hell? And then they'll like start searching into it. They're like, this was good. I'm like, thanks. Great. Yeah. I worked hard on it.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And you could tell again, everybody who's listening, if there's show notes, I believe there is on the Patreon. And then obviously this will live later. I will put the link to where to get your record. Cause I'm sure after hearing this, everyone's going to be like, I need to hear the song, especially that song.
No, I appreciate it. It's called Unknowns. It was therapy. And I'm sure, like, if I have, like, I don't know if we're winding down or where you're at, but if I had something to move on to you, is that while I do say that life is fleeting, we all burn, things end up going away at some point in time. You've enriched my life, and you glow positivity. And for anybody out there who's listening to this or is going to listen to this, like, I want to put a piece of wood on your fire as long as you're willing to keep working. So keep working over there, Darren. You're doing great. It's so cool to see the things that you've done and are pursuing. And even if you just had one thing that stuck with me, I was stuck in Phoenix, Arizona. I was changing my jobs, changing where I was employed at. That I've been doing fun shit without you. Like that whole fucking record, it meant everything to me for 3 months.
Wow.
So from a music perspective, I know that we're talking art, but like that is art. Those you've enriched my life and helped me through a really tough time from that standpoint. And the funny thing is, like, you might have been writing breakup record or whatever the hell you were doing, but to me, it went, oh, that other employer, fuck you. Like I'm going to do the best I can to shine my light on the world, and you did that for me. And those, again, we're living for, in my opinion, today, and surround yourself with things and people you love, and that's art, man. That's what this is.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. And you've been so kind to me over the years, but in this conversation, I feel like it's all culminated for us to finally like talk to each other the way that we finally have a quiet moment, like you said, and we can connect with each other where it's not a loud concert or whatever, and talk about like what we've meant to each other over the years. So I really, really appreciate this talk. And, like you said, with that light, we can't dim that. And this conversation, I didn't know would brighten mind, but it has. And man, I cannot thank you enough for that, because as an artist, like you said, and we've talked about, you go through a lot and every day, and to hear somebody say what you've said about the art that you've acquired over the time that I've been a part of, and what it's meant to your life, is the payment of all time. that's why I do it. And that's not bullshit. That is literally why I made that record, because I didn't want to put that record out. And my brother's like, well, you never know. Somebody is going to be exactly where you are one day, and that might help them through something. And I've hugged people in the UK when we played that have listened to it and said, this got me through one of the worst periods of my life. And then hearing you say this today to me, it is literally why I do this, why I want to connect with people more. And yeah, this has been the coolest day for me. So Jim, thank you so much. I'm going to put this out on our Patreon. So everybody listening, I'll make sure that you know where you can find things from Jim. He's a great guy. And as you can tell from this episode, but also then later on, we'll put it out into the world so everybody can hear it. But this will be just an exclusive for everybody in the meantime.
Hey, thanks for enriching Darren's life. Thanks for being here and supporting him. And I'm going to need to get on that Patreon business.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of tears, but yeah, no, you've already supported me enough. So thank you for all of that. And thanks for being here. This is the payment that, I can't repay, because everybody's going to be really, really better off for listening. So thanks again, Jim.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Good hanging out.
Have a good day, and you make sure you tell those kids to listen to TLB.
Yeah, they will.
All right. We'll talk to you later, Jim. Thanks again.
Solid.
I see you, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.